The orbital sander hummed against the oak banister, sending fine dust spiraling through the afternoon light. I'd been restoring this Victorian staircase for 3 weeks, each groove revealing wood that hadn't seen daylight since 1892. My phone buzzed against my tool belt. I ignored it. The rhythm of work steadied me. Always had. It buzzed again. Then again. I killed the sander and pulled off my safety glasses. Sawdust coated my fingers as I swiped the screen. Instagram notification. Someone had tagged me in a photo. My thumb froze. Nyla stood beneath a massive floral arch, white satin pooling around her feet. Her lips pressed against Travis's in a staged kiss. Fairy lights twinkled overhead. Mountains framed the background. The caption read, "The Whitfield Wedding of the Year. Hashtag Mountain Magic, hashtag Forever Starts Now." My stomach dropped. I zoomed in on the crowd behind them. Mom wore champagne silk. Dad stood in his best navy suit. Bridesmaids I'd helped through college lined up like pastel soldiers. Relatives I hadn't seen in years smiled wide. Not one photo included me. A splinter pierced my palm. I barely felt it. I scrolled faster, chest tightening with each swipe. Story after story confirmed what my brain refused to accept. The rehearsal dinner at Antonio's, where I'd introduced Nyla to the owner years ago. The bridal brunch at Mountain View Lodge. The ceremony itself, held at the family estate. The same estate I'd spent 8 months renovating, replacing rotted beams and refinishing floors until my hands bled. They'd use my work as their backdrop. My breath came shallow. Memories crashed through me like waves. Repainting Nyla's first apartment at midnight because she had an important date. Wiring her rent money when her check bounced, twice. Watching her kids every weekend so she could attend networking events for her lifestyle blog. The phone slipped in my sweaty grip. A new notification appeared. Mom's face filled the screen, captured mid-laugh in a boomerang under string lights. The geotag read, "Whitfield Estate, Boulder. My estate. My restoration." I pressed my forehead against the cool banister, splinters forgotten. A single thought crystallized through the fog of shock. They really didn't want me there. Not as an afterthought, not as an oversight. This was deliberate, calculated. A $60,000 wedding with 150 guests, and I wasn't worth an invitation. My breath steadied. Something hardened in my chest, like mortar setting between bricks. I straightened up, wiping sawdust from my jeans. My reflection stared back from the hallway mirror, pale and ghost-like under the plaster dust. "My name's Debra Whitfield," I whispered to that reflection. "And I built the house they're standing in." The words tasted bitter and true. I'd restored that estate from foundation to roof, replaced every window, rebuilt the wraparound porch where Nyla probably tossed her bouquet, stripped and refinished the hardwood where Travis likely crushed cake into her face for the cameras. My hands had made that place beautiful again, and they'd celebrated without me inside it. My fingers moved before my brain caught up. I pulled up Mom's contact and hit call. It rang 4 times. "Debra, honey, we were just talking about you." Mom's voice dripped with false sweetness. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" My voice shook despite my best effort. Silence stretched across the line. I heard music and laughter in the background. The reception was still going. "Tell you what, sweetie. Don't!" The word came out sharper than intended. The wedding, Mom. Nyla's wedding. Why wasn't I invited? Another pause. Then that too careful tone she used when managing difficult situations. "Honey, we didn't want to make things awkward. You and Nyla always have your attention, and with Travis's family coming, she wanted everything perfect. I'm her sister. You're also very busy with your work?" Nyla's voice cut in. She must have grabbed the phone. "Don't make this about you, Deb." "It's my special day." The line went dead before I could respond. I stared at the phone, tears streaking through the dust on my face. I sat on the dusty floor for 20 minutes, phone clutched in my hand. Then I opened my contacts and started deleting. Mom's number. Gone. Dad's. Gone. Nyla's. Gone. I unfollowed them on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere our digital lives intersected. Each tap felt like setting down a weight I'd carried too long. My coworker, Marcy, called that evening. Hey, saw you working late. Everything okay? Family stuff. My voice sounded hollow. Want to talk about it? I stared at the half-finished staircase, golden in the sunset light. Not really. That's okay too, she paused. Sometimes peace looks like no reply. The words settled into me like a foundation stone. Yeah, I whispered. Maybe it does. After we hung up, my phone buzzed again. Missed call. Mom. I turned the ringer off and went back to sanding. For 3 weeks, I buried myself in work. The Victorian staircase became my meditation. Each pass of sandpaper smoothed away more than just old varnish. It stripped away years of being the fixer, the reliable one, the sister who always showed up. I ignored 17 text messages. You're being dramatic. Family is supposed to forgive. Nyla's hurt that you're acting this way. The irony would have been funny if it didn't ache so much. My workshop became a sanctuary. The smell of wood shavings and mineral spirits. The satisfying scrape of my chisel against stubborn joints. The rhythmic hum of power tools drowning out the noise in my head. Mrs. Patterson, the Victorian's owner, brought me coffee one morning. You're doing beautiful work, she said, running her hand along the restored banister. Someone hurt you? I nodded, not trusting my voice. Wood's honest, she continued. It shows you exactly what it is. People should learn from that. That night, I switched my phone off completely. 4 weeks after the wedding, Marcy cornered me at the hardware store. Have you seen the stuff online about your sister? She held up her phone hesitantly. I don't follow her anymore. No, I mean... She bit her lip. There's a video from the wedding. It's pretty bad. My stomach clenched. What kind of video? Maybe you should see it yourself, she texted me a link. I stared at my phone for a full minute after she left, thumb hovering over the message. Part of me wanted to delete it unseen. The fixer part of me, the part that always rushed to smooth things over, needed a no. That night, curiosity won. I sat in my truck in the empty parking lot and opened the link. The video loaded slowly, buffer circles spinning. Then a sharp crack split through my speakers. My hand flew to my mouth. The footage was shaky, clearly not meant to be filmed. Someone's phone had captured it accidentally, or maybe deliberately. Travis stood near the dance floor, face twisted with rage. Nyla faced him, her perfect wedding dress crumpled, mascara streaking her cheeks. They were shouting, but the music drowned most of it out. Then Travis's hand moved. Fast. Brutal. The slap echoed through the reception hall. Nyla stumbled backward. Someone screamed. The camera jerked as the person filming reacted, but not before catching Travis grabbing her arm, his mouth moving in what looked like threats. The video cut off. I sat frozen in my truck, hands still covering my mouth. The caption below read, Didn't mean to post this Debra Whitfield wedding fail. The DJ must have uploaded it by mistake. But mistakes live forever online. I scrolled through the comments. Thousands of them. Is this the influencer who posts about her perfect life? Someone call the cops. This is why you don't marry for money. The video had 2.3 million views in 6 hours. My phone rang at midnight, jolting me from restless sleep. Nyla's name flashed across the screen. I deleted her contact, but I knew her number by heart. My finger hovered over the decline button. The old Debra would have answered immediately, ready to fix whatever crisis had erupted. Ready to be the strong one, the reliable one. The phone kept ringing. I answered on the last ring before voicemail. It's everywhere, Deb. Nyla's voice broke around sobs. I can't go anywhere. People recognize me. They're calling me stupid. They're sending me death threats. Silence stretched between us. Please help me. You're good with people. You always fix things. I need you to help him manage this. I stared at my ceiling, shadows from the streetlight painting patterns across the plaster. My reflection stared back from the dark window, warped by old glass. I'm sorry, I said softly. You didn't want me there. What? At the wedding. You didn't want me there, remember? So why would I help you now? Deb, please! I ended the call. Mom showed up 3 days later unannounced, I opened the door to find her standing on my porch with a box of pastries from that expensive bakery downtown. "Deborah, sweetheart." She moved to hug me. I stepped back. "What do you want?" Her smile faltered. "Can a mother visit her daughter?" "You haven't visited in 8 months." She sighed, the sound of a martyr bearing her cross. "Fine. We need your help. Nyla's drowning in this. The press won't leave her alone. She needs someone level-headed to help to manage her image. You're good at that sort of thing." "No." "No?" Mom blinked like I'd spoken a foreign language. "I'm not fixing this." "But she's your sister." Family helps family. The word should have stung. Should have made me waver. Instead, I felt nothing but tired clarity. "Family invites family to weddings." Mom's face hardened. "You're being petty." "I'm being done." I started closing the door. "Don't come back unless you're here because you want to see me, not because you need something." The door clicked shut on her shocked face. I spent the weekend in my garden. No phone, no internet, no connection to the chaos swirling around my family's name. The tomatoes needed staking. Weeds had overtaken the herb bed. My hands found their rhythm in the soil, planting and pruning while the world buzzed beyond my fence. Marcy texted to check on me. I didn't answer until Sunday evening. "I'm good, just needed quiet." The silence felt like medicine, like oxygen after drowning. By Monday morning, I'd replanted the entire vegetable garden and started sketching plans for a new shed. My muscles ached pleasantly. My mind felt clearer than it had in months. When the doorbell rang Tuesday afternoon, I almost didn't answer. But I recognized the car in my driveway. Aunt Lila stood on my porch with 2 coffees and a knowing look. "I'm not here to guilt you," she said before I could speak. "I'm here to sit with you." I let her in. We sat at my kitchen table, sun streaming through the window I'd installed myself. Lila didn't rush to fill the silence. She never had. That's why she'd always been my favorite. "You did the right thing," she said finally. Not answering. Setting boundaries. Mom doesn't think so. "Your mother spent 40 years trying to keep peace by sacrificing whoever was strongest." Lila sipped her coffee. "That's not peace. That's just quiet resentment." I traced the wood grain in my table. "I feel guilty." "Of course you do. You were trained to feel guilty." Her voice stayed gentle. "But boundaries aren't cruelty, Deborah. They're fences that keep peace in." Something in my chest loosened. Nyla's in real trouble now, I admitted. Part of me wants to help. And the other part knows that helping her never helped me. Lila nodded slowly. Then her expression shifted, something dark crossing her face. "There's something else you need to see." She pulled a folded paper from her purse and slid it across the table. The letter came from Premier Catering, one of Boulder's most expensive companies. A debt collection notice. I scanned the page, confusion turning to ice in my veins. "This has my name on it." "Keep reading," Lila said quietly. "Outstanding balance, $15,000. Loan agreement signed electronically on March 14th. Payment now 45 days overdue. March 14th? 2 weeks before the wedding." "I never signed anything." My hands started shaking. "I didn't even know about the wedding." Lila pulled out more papers, bank records, email correspondence, a loan application with my name typed at the bottom, complete with my social security number. "She forged you," Lila said. "Used your credit to pay for her wedding catering." The room tilted. I gripped the table edge. All those years of being reliable, of having good credit, of managing my money carefully while Nyla bounced checks and maxed out cards. She'd used that against me. "How did you find this?" "The company contacted me when they couldn't reach you. They knew we were related." Lila's voice hardened. "Your mother knew. Deborah." She co-signed. I whispered, "She forged me." I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I worked. My contractor training served me well. I gathered every piece of evidence with meticulous precision. Screenshots of the loan documents. My bank statements proving I'd never received the money. credit reports showing inquiries I'd never authorized, email correspondence between Nyla and the catering company, accidentally forwarded to my old address. I created a spreadsheet, documented every date, every amount, every signature that wasn't mine. By dawn, I had a file 3 inches thick. Marcy called at 7. "You're awake?" "I can hear it in your voice." "Can't sleep." "What happened?" I told her. "Everything." The words poured out in a steady stream of facts and figures, each one another nail in the coffin of whatever relationship I'd once had with my sister. "Holy hell," Marcy breathed. "That's fraud. Like actual federal crime fraud." "I know." "What are you going to do?" I stared at my organized evidence, labeled and dated with contractor precision. "I'm going to end this." I drove to the family estate on Thursday morning. The house stood proud against the mountains, its fresh paint gleaming in the June sun. My paint, my restoration, my work. Walking through the yard felt surreal. I'd replaced these stepping stones, rebuilt this fence, planted these flower beds that were now probably featured in 1,000 wedding photos. The grass still showed marks from the tent stakes. I stood where the altar must have been, looking back at the house. This was where Nyla had said her vows, where Travis had promised to love her forever 3 weeks before slapping her in front of 150 guests, and I'd been deemed unworthy of witnessing it. Something settled in my chest. Not anger anymore, just cold, clear certainty. I pulled out my phone and texted Lila, "It's time." Her response came immediately. "My house. Saturday at 2. I'll arrange everything." I took one last look at the estate, memorizing the lines of the porch I'd built, the windows I'd restored. Then I walked away without looking back. Saturday arrived with clear skies and sharp anxiety. I dressed carefully, not for battle, but for business. Slacks and a pressed shirt, hair pulled back, the evidence folder in my work bag. Lila's house sat on a quiet street in North Boulder. I arrived early, parked down the block, and practiced breathing. One by one, they arrived. Mom's silver sedan, Dad's truck. Finally, Nyla's compact car, dented on the passenger side. Travis wasn't with her. According to the news, he'd been arrested 2 days after the video went viral. Assault charges, restraining order. His pharmaceutical sales job gone. I waited 10 minutes after Nyla entered. Let them settle, let them wonder. When I walked in, the room went silent. They sat around Lila's dining table like defendants at trial. Mom's hands twisted in her lap. Dad stared at the floor. Nyla's face was puffy and red, makeup unable to hide the damage. I set my folder on the table with deliberate care. "Thank you for coming," Lila said formally. "Debra has something to discuss." I didn't sit. Standing gave me power I desperately needed. This, I opened the folder, is a loan application for $15,000, signed with my name, using my credit, for Nyla's wedding catering. Mom started to speak. I held up one hand. "I have emails showing that Mom knew about this loan, that she helped Nyla fill out the application, that she believed I'd come around and pay it off like I always do." I slid copies across the table. Dad's weathered hands picked him up with trembling fingers. "I have bank statements proving I never received this money, credit reports showing inquiries I never authorized, and I have text messages between Nyla and the catering company discussing the arrangement." Nyla's face crumbled. "I just thought you'd help. You always fix everything. Not anymore." My voice stayed level. "This is fraud. Identity theft. I could press charges that would put you both in prison." Mom gasped. "You wouldn't." "We're family." "Family doesn't forge signatures." I met her eyes. "Family doesn't steal." Lila spoke up. "However, Debra has agreed to an alternative." I pulled out the final document, a restitution agreement Lila's lawyer friend had drafted. "You have 1 week to return every penny." Nyla broke down completely, sobbing into her hands. "I don't have $15,000. I don't have anything." "Travis is gone. The lifestyle sponsors dropped me. My blog is dead." "Not my problem," I said. "How am I supposed to get that much money?" "The same way I did. Work for it." Mom reached for my arm. I pulled back. "Debra, please. Think about what you're doing. This will destroy your sister. She destroyed herself, I pointed to the agreement. Sign it or I file a police report tomorrow. Dad spoke for the first time, voice rough. She'll sign. Dad, sign it, Nyla. His tone left no room for argument. You did this, you fix it. Lila slid a pen across the table. Nyla's hand shook as she signed. Mom signed as witness, tears streaming down her face. The whole thing took 90 seconds. You have 7 days, I said. Every penny. I gathered my papers and walked out, leaving them sitting in stunned silence around Lila's table. Outside, I sat in my truck for 5 minutes, hands gripping the steering wheel, breathing hard. Then I drove home. The money arrived in my account 6 days later. $15,000, wired at 3:47 p.m. on a Friday. I stared at my banking app, watching the numbers that represented hours of my sister's actual work. According to Lila, she'd sold her designer bags, returned her unworn clothes, picked up shifts at a restaurant and a grocery store. For the first time in her life, Nyla was solving her own problem. The same day, news broke that Travis had been formally charged. The video had given prosecutors everything they needed. Assault. Disorderly conduct. His mugshot circulated on social media with vicious glee. The comments ranged from supportive to cruel. Finally, some justice. She married him for money, got what she deserved. Hope she learns to pick better men. I didn't comment, didn't share, didn't engage. 2 days later, Mom texted, You were right. About everything. I'm sorry, I read it 3 times looking for the catch, for the manipulation hidden in those 8 words. But sometimes an apology was just an apology. I didn't respond immediately. Let it sit. Let her wonder. A week later, my phone rang. Nyla's number. I almost declined, but something made me answer. Deb? Her voice sounded different, smaller. Can we talk? Just you and me. I understand if you don't want to. I stared out my window at the garden I'd rebuilt. Where? Anywhere you want. Your choice. Coffee Corner, Thursday, 1 o'clock. The neutral cafe where we'd never made memories. I'll be there. Thursday arrived with unseasonable rain. I got there early, claimed a corner table, ordered black coffee. Neela arrived exactly on time, drenched despite her umbrella. Her hair hung in natural waves, no expensive styling. She wore jeans and a plain sweater. No designer labels visible. She looked more like the sister I remembered from childhood. Thank you for meeting me, she said, sitting carefully as if I might bolt. Talk. She took a breath. I'm sorry. For everything. The wedding. The loan. The years of taking advantage. All of it. I waited. I know sorry doesn't fix it. She twisted her paper cup. But I want you to know I'm trying. I got a real job. 2, actually. I'm paying my own bills. Mom and Dad aren't bailing me out anymore. Good. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. Her eyes met mine. But I want to try to earn it, if you'll let me. I studied her face, looking for the manipulation I'd grown to expect. But all I saw was exhaustion and something that might have been genuine remorse. Therapy, I said. And proof you're keeping those jobs. I want to see pay stubs, she blinked. Really? I'm not giving you money. I'm not fixing your problems. But I'll consider talking to you if you prove you're actually changing. Nyla nodded rapidly. I can do that. I will do that. Over the next 2 months, Nyla sent me screenshots every week, her therapy appointment confirmations, her pay stubs from the restaurant and grocery store, photos of her kids at activities she attended herself, not through hired help. I didn't respond to most of them, but I looked at every single one. In September, she asked if she could stop by my house. Why? I have something that belongs to you. She arrived on a Saturday morning, driving a modest used car instead of the leased BMW she'd had before. No designer purse, no fake eyelashes, just my sister looking tired and real. She handed me a small wooden box. Grandma's locket, she said quietly. Mom gave it to me after the funeral, but it was supposed to be yours. You were Grandma's favorite, We all knew it. I opened the box. The gold locket lay nestled in the velvet, engraved with the flowers. Inside, a tiny photo of Grandma holding me as a baby. My throat tightened. Why now? Because you deserve things too. Nyla's voice cracked. I spent my whole life thinking I deserved more. But you deserved better than me. I closed the locket carefully. Thank you. We stood in awkward silence. You want to stay for coffee? I heard myself ask. Her face lit up cautiously. Yeah, I'd like that. By November, something had shifted. Not forgiveness, not exactly, but the sharp edges of anger had worn smooth. Nyla and I met for coffee every other week. She talked about her struggles adjusting to normal life. I talked about my work. We didn't pretend the past hadn't happened, but we stopped letting it be the only thing that mattered. She brought her kids once, Emma 8 and Nathan 6. They were quiet at first, watching me with their uncertain eyes. You're the aunt who builds things, Nathan said finally. I am. That's cool. He showed me a drawing of a house. Can you teach me? Something warm bloomed in my chest. Sure, buddy. Thanksgiving approached. Mom called, voice tentative. We're having dinner at the house. Would you come? Who's we? Just family. Small. Your father and I, Nyla and the kids, Lila. She paused. We'd really like you there. I thought about it for 3 days. Finally texted, I'll bring rolls. The family estate looked different in November light. Leaves covered the lawn I'd landscaped. My restoration work had weathered well through the seasons. I parked and sat for a moment, gathering courage. Lila met me at the door. You came? Barely. I handed her the warm bread basket. Inside the house smelled like turkey and pie. Dad stood at the stove, stirring gravy. Mom set the table with careful movements, like she was afraid of breaking something precious. Nyla appeared from the living room, kids trailing behind her. Deb, I'm glad you're here. Me too. I meant it. Dinner was awkward at first. Too polite. Everyone navigating invisible boundaries. Then Nathan spilled his juice all over the tablecloth Mom had ironed for hours. Everyone froze. It's fine, I said, grabbing napkins. It's just juice. Mom laughed, a surprised sound. Just juice. Right. Something eased in the room. After dinner, Dad pulled me aside. Your mother and I are proud of you. The way you stood up for yourself. We should have done better. Yeah, I said. You should have. We're trying now. I nodded. I know. That night, back in my own house, my phone buzzed. Another notification. Another viral video making the rounds. The wedding slap had been turned into a documentary. Some YouTube channel had compiled everything. The build-up, the violence, the aftermath. The true cost of influencer culture, the title read. 5 million views in 2 days. I watched for 30 seconds. Saw Neela's face frozen in that moment of shock. Saw the comments dissecting her life, her choices, her worth. Then I closed the app and deleted it. Whatever happened in that video, whatever the internet did with it, wasn't my problem. Wasn't my burden. I'd spent my life fixing other people's messes. Now I was learning to let them fix their own. My phone buzzed again. Marcy, want to grab breakfast tomorrow? Me. Yeah, I'd like that. I set the phone down and walked to my window. The city lights twinkled in the distance. Tomorrow, I'd finish the Victorian staircase. Next week, I had 3 new clients wanting restoration work. My business thrived, my garden grew, my life expanded into the space I'd cleared by setting boundaries. The video could go viral 1,000 times. It didn't matter, I'd already moved on. Sunday morning arrived with golden light spilling across my porch. I sat in the rocking chair I'd built myself last month, coffee steaming in my hands. The mountains rose purple in the distance, snow already dusting their peaks. My phone sat inside on the counter, silent and ignored. A cardinal landed on the porch railing, bright red against weathered wood. It cocked its head at me, then flew off toward my garden. I thought about the past 6 months, the betrayal that had fractured my family, the video that had shattered my sister's facade, the slow, careful work of rebuilding what could be saved and letting go of what couldn't. Some things couldn't be restored, no matter how skilled the craftsman. But some things could be built new. Nyla texted yesterday that she'd gotten promoted to shift manager, that Nathan had asked about me, that maybe I'd come to his birthday party next month, maybe I would. The sun rose higher and warming my face. In the distance, church bells chimed. Sunday morning in Boulder, quiet and peaceful. My phone buzzed inside. I didn't move to check it. Whatever viral moment was trending today, whatever drama was unfolding online, it wasn't mine to carry anymore. I took a long sip of coffee and smiled at the mountains. The sweetest revenge is peace that can't be filmed.